So it'd be Demi Chakas and Nick Gallant, the front row, both in a pair of Mercedes, as they lead them through the final twisty corners. Demi Chakas, in her first year in GT4 racing, again came home with a podium in race number 1 in the dark on a free Friday. As the green flag waves, we're underway in the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada. Look at that Mustang of Jack Polito with the jump on the inside.
And then the Nick Gallant car on the 77 going around the outside, but Chalkas comes right back and takes over the top spot before they get to corner 2.
Smart driving there from Demi Chalkas, a bit too much too soon for Jack Polito, as he did improve one position getting underneath Nick Gallant, and Gallant will not like to see that. This is where he was for most of that race number 1 last night.
And before Jack Polito found his way around him to take over top spot, here's the start of the TCR category as well. That's Justin DiBenedetto with a nice move up the inside to take over top spot before corner number 1. Can he hold on?
Locking some tires. That was Marco Cerrone in the 82. He had to make repairs to that car overnight after shunts in race number 1. Unfortunately, one driver unable to make the call here today, and that's the 55 of Tom Kwok. So too badly damaged is that race car to continue today.
4 of Justin DiBenedetto ahead of the 84 of Richard Boak and Dean Baker. Those are the top 3 in the TCR category. Looked like DiBenedetto was weaving a little bit, still trying to get some heat in those tires, and look at Dean Baker smoking him headed for 2.
Oh, that's a huge, huge lockup for those Michelin tires, and as durable as those tires are, I'm not sure he's not going to get a vibration for the rest of this race with 28 minutes left. That was a big-time lockup.
That's a long time to hang on to that car if he's upset those tires just a little bit. Now you can see he is feeling the pressure a little bit from the 66 of Gary Kwok, who's looking for a way around.
Gary Kwok did take the Assured Automotive pole on Friday afternoon in mixed conditions. There was rain and there was some sunshine, and it was a difficult qualifying effort. Justin DiBenedetto did show some speed. The 66 came through and nabbed that pole sort of at the last minute, but the 4 car has been quick as Kwok took a look underneath the 52. He's eager to get by now.
Well, looking left, looking right. He's not going to find his way around on the outside of corner number 2, but maybe he can squeeze up a little closer as they head to 3 in the left-hander. They'll try and get the long run down through corners 4 and 5. Maybe have an opportunity during that hard left-hander in corner number 5, but now Dean Baker looks like he's pulled out just a little bit of a gap.
This is back up towards the front end. We got problems. Colleen in the 37 and one of the Atrell cars in the 80, and there is damage to the 83. Oh, big damage, as a matter of fact, up against the concrete wall. You can see the spin marks from the timber hut number 37 of Ed Colleen. He comes to a rest. And this will likely, this is going to be a full course caution. I thought, there is no doubt, unless they were well off the racing group. I don't even know what turn that's in. I'm trying to get an idea, but Connor Atrell in the 80, that's the Hyundai Elantra N. Quinn Atrell drives the Hyundai Veloster in the 86. So Connor was battling with Ed Colleen just outside of the top 10.
And looks like he's climbed out of that car, and he is not happy with Ed Colleen as he is headed over to, looks like he wants to have a word with him.
Very much a frustrated March. And he appears as though he's giving the driver, the 37, unsavory glances, and a couple words exchanged there between Connor Atrell, who's he actually had a very good race yesterday. Took advantage of some incidents on track and some subsequent restarts as well. He started deep in the field, but it didn't matter, as Connor Atrell did have a very, very solid finish in race number 1 on a Friday night. And unfortunately now the quick turnaround is really going to hurt. 3:40 in the afternoon today is when we're expected to go green for the final race of the weekend. And there's a lot of fixing that's needed on that Elantra N.
That's the frustrations of the season for Connor Atrell as well. You mentioned he did have a nice run in last night's race, but he's had some up and down weekends so far this year. And here's a replay of the start of the race with the 34 Debbie Chalkas, who gets moved onto her right side, but Jack Polito and Nick Gallant, they both go around, but then both have to slow up, and Debbie Chalkas takes the lead. Then a little bit later on, it was Jack Polito in the 22 who managed to find his way around.
You see Polito and Gallant actually made contact as that 22 car did not want to turn when Jack Polito put the input into the steering wheel. It just kept going straight into turn number 1, and Nick Gallant was already out there, and Gallant eager to try and get by as the 34 of Demi Chalkas just continued on. There you can see the telltale swirl on the side door, the back passenger side door of the 37 of Ed Colleen. So likely some contact there, and that is turn number 2. So that's an interesting spot for that crash to happen. It's not a place you normally see something like that happen. So Colleen might have thought that he was clear of the 80 of Connor Atrell, and obviously was not, and they made contact, and Atrell ends up in the wall. Colleen able to carry on.
Yeah, curious position as you well, you know, battling through corner number 1, you could see, but there is a little bit of damage to the right front as well.
The right rear, you can see it's crab walking as Ed Colleen drives it back, so he'll head to the paddock area. They'll have to do some work to try and get that car repaired for the final race of the afternoon as the drivers continue to try and put heat in their Michelin tires as the time continues to tick away here in the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada. As we're having some issues with our timing and scoring, but because it's still just a caution flag, we can tell you that the clock does continue to tick in this 30-minute timed race.
Nearing about 5 minutes gone and a few laps complete. Jack Polito, Nick Gallant, and Demi Chalkas are the top 3 in the GT4. Vince Partap is the 4th car in that field. Justin DiBenedetto has moved up a couple of spots from the start. He leads the TCR category, followed by Richard Boak. And Dean Baker, who we saw a little bit earlier with the difficulty with the smoke in the tires, headed through corner number 5 it was, I believe. And that's the 37 of Ed Colleen limping his way back to pit lane.
And the thing about, you can see the right rear tire's got a fairly significant lean from the top end. But the good news is that's not a significant fix. They can repair that fairly quickly. It's just some suspension components that'll need repairing because the back wheels, this is all front wheel drive in the TCR class. Everything done essentially with the front wheels. You got most of the braking is done with the front wheels. You've got all of the acceleration. And of course, the steering input happens at the front wheels too. So those are just along for the ride in the back, essentially. And a lot of drivers will set up their cars to make it fairly loose. They want the back end to slide about. Ed Colleen, not necessarily one of those, but you can see the Bestline Autotech crew now underneath that Audi right away. They're assessing the damage. This won't be fixed for this race, in all likelihood. But with that crew, it'll be fixed for race number 2 today.
You need 4 to balance the car, so that's why you carry the 4. But yes, as you mentioned, all the work is done with the front 2 Michelin tires as well. Mentioned it during last night's race. We should talk about it again. The Michelin agreement with the Sports Car Championship Canada extended for another 3 years. They came on as a partner initially when the Sports Car Championship Canada debuted. This now the 3rd season. They will be on board for 3 more years as well.
And Braden Motorsport is the supplier of Michelin tires for the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada, and also the supporter of the podium presentations throughout the series at every stop. As you see, the white flag is out, indicating we will go back to green this next time by, but Braden Motorsport supports the series, and as a matter of fact gives one team a set of slicks at each driver's meeting. So that's a pretty neat prize from Braden Motorsports, and it does take a small village to put on a series like the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada presented by Michelin, and Braden Motorsport is a significant supporter to that series. Taking a look at the back end of this 80 car, it seems to be straight. The front end is where, and that's the problem for the Atrell team. I mean, that's going to be hopefully not through the transmission, not through the drive line as well. Maybe it's just suspension components.
And that's going to be the assessment that's going to need to be made when they get that 80 car back to the sports car paddock, is to have a look, get it up in the air, get the tire off, and see what sort of damage is underneath that's going to have to be repaired, hopefully for this afternoon's race, the third and final race for the Sports Car Championship Canada, presented by Michelin here on the streets of Trois-Rivières. A challenging schedule with 3 races over a little less than 24 hours, but again, hopefully it's just some bolt-on stuff that they can make repairs on that 80 car.
And as we mentioned, that is in an odd place on this track. It's in between turns 1 and 2, so not necessarily a place where you would see something like that happen. It's normally in turn 3, turn 5, sometimes in turn number 8 is where you get the incidents happening, but that one happening in between turns 1 and 2. And you could actually see the black marks on the roadway, so we don't have a good replay of that, or any replay at all. But you could see where the 80 car made contact with the concrete wall. And again, it's not a place where issues happen, so there's no tire wall there. And the 37 of Ed Colleen did a couple spins back and forth before coming to a rest, but I think he avoided the concrete wall. There you see the results of the spin, and there you see the damage on the 80 of Connor Luttrell. So the side skirt is hanging down. That's okay, it's just cosmetic. It's that front corner. Is that wheel pushed back? That's the big question.
That will be the spot of concern for Connor Luttrell and the Luttrell team. So again, hopefully they can make repairs. That car is out of the way now, so hopefully we can get back to green flag racing soon. We still have the lights on the pace car, so it looks like we will get one more lap, just passing by 10 minutes down in this 30-minute race. The second of 3 this weekend here at GP3R. It's Jack Polito, Nick Gallant, and Demi Chalkas who lead in the GT4 category. Justin DiBenedetto, Richard Oak, and Dean Baker who lead in the TCR category.
And then you look back to the TCAs. Eric Kuntz is having a dream weekend in the number 25. Picked up a win last night and looking for another here as we continue. Now the white flag. Now they've done this once before already and they called it off. So we'll believe it when we see it as they come around the next time. But expecting to go back to green here in the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada, presented by Michelin race at the Grand Prix at Trois-Rivières. So yeah, Eric Kuntz in the TCA picked up a win. Trevor Hill in the 2 and Jonathan Young, your top 3. Megan Tomlinson rounds out the TCA field. And 2 cars currently out of the running. Connor Luttrell and Colleen, both TCR cars, are headed to the paddock. We're already there in the case of the 37 of Ed Colleen, but now the drivers know we're getting set to go back to green. So it looks like Demi Chalka has lost not 1 but 2 spots during that short green flag run. So did hang on to the lead through 1 and 2, and then was swallowed up by Jack Polito and the 77 of Nick Gallant.
So we'll see what Nick Gallant can do. This was a position he was in for the last 12 minutes or so of last night's race, trying to find his way around Jack Polito. He was close, he pushed him, he nudged him, literally and figuratively, trying to get him to make a mistake, but Polito held on nicely to score the victory in race number 1 of the Sports Car Championship Canada. But Nick Gallant has a little more time on his hands for race number 2. We'll see what he can do off the start.
Nick Gallant, one of the drivers from the U.S., coming up to join the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada in the Sanken Auto Group, number 77, and he's done very well at the Toronto Indy Street race, and he's using all of his experience here at the Grand Prix at Trois-Rivières as well. Justin DiBenedetto having a nice run in that 4, but his restart is going to be key with a couple of Audis just in behind. And Richard Boak and Dean Baker. And remember, Baker smoked those tires off the initial start in turn 5. We'll see what he has left as we go back to green.
Jack Polito with a good jump and not really having to worry about cars on either side of him as it was on the initial start. Seems to have things well in hand. Demi Chalka's kind of lurking in the background too to see if those front 2 want to mix it up.
Yeah, it's a pretty polite start, we'll say, for everybody as Vince Partap pulls up out of the way as some of the quicker TCR cars move through in the Duplessis gates. That's turn number 3, and they'll move up the overall running order, but they stay the same. It looks like a great battle there. A little bit behind Dean Baker in the 52 as we see the top GT4 cars pull through, but developing a battle a little bit deeper in the pack.
Those front three pretty stable, Polito, Gallant, and Chalkas. And then we look back, there's the 4 of Di Benedetto, the 84 of Richard Vogt, Dean Baker, and Gary Kwok all in there as well.
Last night's winner is the 29 of LP Montour. He took advantage of a couple of cautions and moved up. There's Eric Kuntz in the 25. So that's your leader in the TCA class, the Honda Civics. Again, these cars a little bit lower on horsepower and a traditional shift method. So not the paddle shift on these cars, but Eric Kuntz is wheeling that thing in front of a veteran in Trevor Hill, and Hill is looking for a way by, but I don't know if it's going to be that easy. The Sanders Motorsports number 25 of Eric Kuntz has been dynamite all weekend.
That's a good fight between these TCA cars. Third place is right behind there as well. That is Jonathan Young, but Eric Kuntz finished on the podium in the first couple of events. Trevor Hill swept the opening weekend at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Podium finishes of the last 3 rounds in Toronto, but is looking for another victory now, taking off the crew chief hat from years past and now a participant in the TCA category.
And kudos to the director in the truck getting us some shots of that TCA battle. We didn't get to see a lot of them during the Friday night fights here at the Grand Prix de Trois-Rivières, but it has been a great addition to the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada series in a whole. It's a stepping stone, a relatively inexpensive machine to get involved in, and then you can use that to keep moving up. So you start in the TCAs, and then you move to the TCRs, and eventually the GT4s as we hit the halfway mark.
Out front, it's Jack Polito, who has opened up just a little bit of a lead on Nick Gallant. It's just under a second and a half. Demi Chalka still running third, but a couple of seconds back further. Then we get into the TCR battle with Justin Di Benedetto, Richard Vogt, Dean Baker, the top 3 in TCRs.
Gary Kwok we know how quick that 66 car is. He found some contact in race number 1 and was looking the wrong way, but battled back through the field in that brand new Honda Civic FL5 TCR. No damage to that car after going for a spin, but we know it's quick. He sat on the Assured Auto pole after qualifying in race number 1 as Di Benedetto starts to put some pressure on the 34 of Demi Chalkas. And here's the thing with this group. You're looking at a GT4 car and you're like, well, they have over 550 horsepower. Why isn't Demi Chalkas able to just string away from these TCR cars? Well, the TCR cars are lighter. They're very powerful in themselves. I mean, they have almost 400 horsepower, but it's the tight, twisty track. The GT4 cars can't use all of that horsepower because they just don't have the opportunity to stretch their legs.
You'll notice the 4 and 84 and 52 right behind the TCR category, a little more nimble through some of the tighter spots of the course as Demi Chalkas comes through corner number 3 and gets out onto the long straightaway, if you will, through corner 4 and then 5. That's where you'll get that big Mercedes AMG horsepower to use and maybe pull out a bit of a lead. But through the rest of the tight parts of the circuit, that's where it gets much closer and the battle becomes much more feverish.
Everybody's settling in now. Gary Kwok chasing LP Montour again, your winner last night in the Kamloops Volkswagen Golf. Very sporty looking race car, and we know it's very quick. Montour racing double duty here this weekend in the NASCAR Pinty Series in a car prepared by Double A Competition. So he'll be up on the wheel in that series just as he is here in the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada. But both now closing in on your race leader, Justin Di Benedetto. So this is a battle that's brewing for the race lead in the TCR group.
That's the 29 of LP Montour, who wants to get up a little closer and get into that battle as well with the front runners in the TCR category, Justin Di Benedetto and Richard Vogt. That is the 52 of Dean Baker, who locked up the tires a little bit and is feeling a little bit of the heat still from the 66 of Gary Kwok.
And a little puff of smoke, I think that was from the 34 of Demi Chalkas under braking in turn number 1. We've noticed compared to different years that several new bumps have opened up in this track, so maybe the driver's looking for a new smooth area to push that car as Eric Kuntz continues to push through every corner, and he's gathered a crowd in behind him. Trevor Hill and now Jonathan Young has joined the battle. So a trio of Honda Civics in this brand new TCA class, all nose to tail as they work their way down the front straightaway and into turn number 1.
Trevor Hill went down the inside a little bit trying to shorten the distance, but I don't know that really helped him in that 2 car. It looks like the 25 has pulled a little bit of a gap and gives himself a little bit of breathing room for Eric Kuntz, but oh no, the 2 and the 8 are not that far away. This is a good fight in the TCA battle. These top three competitors running nose to tail, just a little bit of a gap in between. And again, looks like Trevor Hill didn't quite come through quarter number 3 as quickly.
And when you don't have the horsepower that some of the other classes do, at just 220 horsepower from that 1.5 liter inline 4-cylinder, it is turbocharged, but you can see Trevor Hill is pushing it, trying to keep that momentum up, and he nearly caught the concrete on the exit of turn number 3 that last time by, as now Justin DiBenedetto continues to look for a way by Demi Chalkas, and it's cost him his entire lead as Richard Boak is now pressuring. So this is an opportunity for the driver of the 84, the Benz Pools FAF Autosports number 84, to really make something happen. Not into turn number 5 this time, but he's ready.
And how long does Justin DiBenedetto remain patient with the 34 Demi Chalkas? At some point, he's going to have to force the issue to get around that 34 car to try to put another competitor between himself and the second running car of Richard Boak in the TCR class, but also to try to pick up a little bit of a gap and improve his position and give himself a little bit of lead in class. And there it looks like he might try to go to the inside. I don't know if he's going to make it around the outside of the right-hander, though.
And that's the problem, as he will actually makes it stick in the number 4. That's what he needed to do as they work down the front straightaway. Now Demi Chalkas being swallowed up. Richard Boak is right there, so he'll tuck to the inside, and almost looking for the lead was Richard Boak. He's trying to catch the driver of the 4 off guard, and look at this, Dean Baker trying to catch the 84 off guard. They'll go side by side and through the Duplessis gates. Oh, no, they won't.
No, I don't think that was a good idea. Dean Baker, I think, thought maybe we'll just live to fight another day. But he remains right on the tail of that 84 and headed down towards 4 and 5.
Couple position swaps have really upset the apple cart as you see the 66 of Kwok now to the outside of the 29 of Montour. Montour's trying to make a move to the inside of the 34. Demi Chalkas has to really whoa up. Turn number 5, contact made between the 29 and the 34. Again, that's not for the class lead. Those two drivers running in different classes, but LP Montour needed to make that move because he was feeling the heat from the 66 of Gary Kwok.
I wonder if Demi Chalkas is having a little bit of difficulty just trying to find her rhythm. I don't know if it's a performance issue with that car or not, but as soon as the 4 of Justin DiBenedetto got around her and she was under fire from the rest of the TCR competitors, it seemed that she was having a little difficulty getting herself back into a rhythm on the racing line.
And now really Justin DiBenedetto setting sail and opening up a gap. You can't even see the driver of the Audi number 4 out in front. This is a battle for second in class between Boak and Dean Baker as the number 4 does start to work through some of the TCA class cars. That's Megan Tomlinson. Her dad, Richard Tomlinson, running the 48s in the TCR class, currently in 10th spot overall, chasing Marco Cerrone, but again, working through that traffic is opportunity presenting itself. There you can see Justin DiBenedetto and how much of a lead he's built up now over the 84 of Richard Boak.
52 continues to look for a way around the 84 of Richard Boak. Dean Baker trying to keep up the pressure. Remember, though, he had that big tire lockup early on. He's going to maybe want to try to make his way around. There's another tire lockup as he heads towards that left-hander at corner 8.
And that's the problem when you do lock up these Michelin tires. They're very durable, but you essentially you put a flat spot on them. And think about it as a roundy racer. When you rub it down and you put a flat spot on that, it's always going to want to stop there, and it's a problem that creates more of a problem over the course of race. He did it very early in this race, and now it's starting to show as he puts some pressure on Boak. He won't have the braking capabilities as he would have had he not flat spotted those tires early in this run. 7 minutes to go in this 30-minute timed race.
84 in the 52, Boak and Baker doing battle. The 29 of LP Montour is also creeping up, but he's feeling a little bit of pressure from that 66 of Gary Kwok. So it's almost 2 battles of 2 as Kwok pops out for a quick look to the inside.
You can see Cerrone just in behind the 34 of Demi Chalkas, and just in behind him is the 48 of Ron Tomlinson. So yeah, this is a picture of the TCR class here in the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada. So much parity. Realistically, any driver can win. They just need a little bit of luck, a little bit of clean air sometimes, and that's what Justin DiBenedetto has, and that's why he's able to open up the gap that he has over the 84 of Richard Boak.
A couple of different manufacturers in there as well. We notice the Audis, and then there's the VW of LP Montour. So it's not just the car, it is the driver that is the important part of the equation.
And the Honda, don't count out the Honda. Gary Kwok, brand new Honda Civic FL5, joining the Tour here in 2023, and it is a very, very quick machine. As the entire field continues to chase that driver, the Polito Ford Mustang, which was originally built at the Multimatic Motorsports shop. It has a pedigree. It already has a championship here in the FEL Sports Car Championship Canada. And Jack Polito really just getting a taste of this style of racing. Picked up a couple of wins last year in the final race weekend at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. This place, a very different animal than that. And it's difficult to wheel that Mustang. Look at this gaggle of race cars. They're going around that three-way battle for the lead in the TCA class and trying to navigate that while carrying out a battle of your own. What?
The TCR cars, the first four have made it through that TCA battle, and there's the 34 of Demi Chalkas, who has made it through the TCA battle as well, but it's bunched them up once again. There's the 84 and 52 fighting for second and third in TCA category, or TCR category, excuse me, and then the 29 and the 66 also nose to tail fighting for position.
And we should tell you that Trevor Hill has taken over the race lead because of that issue with the faster traffic, so using his veteran knowledge to navigate the traffic a little bit better than young Eric Coots, and so the 2 goes to top spots, but can he hang on to it? Now Coots is still right there, so is the 8 of Jonathan Young.
It doesn't matter the category of car. When there's traffic, there is an opportunity to gain position, as the 52 of Dean Baker has another peek to the inside of Richard Boak. We should mention as well up front, the 22 of Jack Polito has had his lead cut in half by Nick Gallant. It's down to about 0.8 of a second. It was at about a second and a half. Little over 4 minutes remaining, and maybe this is where Nick Gallant is going to look for that opportunity in these final few laps. He has closed up further again on that Mustang of Jack Polito.
The ambient temperature outside starting to pick up, so is the track temperature as the sun beats down on this facility. It is a blue sky day, a perfect day for racing here at the Grand Prix de Trois-Rivières, but yeah, that could be an issue. Maybe Jack Polito pushing a little too hard too soon. And the Michelin tires heating up just a little bit more than his liking, as the 77 of Nick Gallant, a veteran racer in the U.S., is using all of that knowledge. And you can see that car a little bit more settled over the bumps on the exit of turn number 5 as the 22. You can hear that thundering horsepower from the Ford as Jack Polito wrestles the Mustang around this tight circuit, but Nick Gallant is able to catch the back bumper of that Ford Mustang GT, but can he get around? That is the big question. There's just about 3 minutes to go as they cross the stripe this time.
This was the situation that we saw last night, where Nick Gallant would close up and get close to the bumper of that 22 car. Now there's traffic, it looks like, from the TCA category up ahead. How quickly will they both be able to navigate? Nice move by the 38 car, Megan Tomlinson, to give those leaders racing room.
Did you see that? She actually put her flasher on that car, so that's essentially her pointing out the window which way you want the drivers to go by. She said, I'll give you the inside in turn number 2. And she puts her flasher on to indicate that heads-up move for Megan Tomlinson in the TCA class. And this, again, the battle for second in the TCR group. And Dean Baker has been frustrated following the 84 of Richard Boak and knows time is ticking down.
Just a little over 2 minutes to go. The 52 of Dean Baker remains in hot pursuit of the 84 of Richard Boak, looking for a way around, headed towards the left-hander at corner number 5. He's close, but he's not going to be close enough to make a dive up the inside this time.
Looks like Boak is just a little bit better on the entry, but Dean Baker has a great run on corner exit, and look at Baker. This is going down into turn number 8. And he pulls alongside as the white flag shown to your race leader. One more lap to go. Baker does not complete that pass, so the 84 holds on to it. There is your race leader as he collected the white flag that last time by. Nick Gallant still in hot pursuit in the 77. But that battle for second in the TCR group is definitely the one to watch as the leader works his way down the back straightaway for the final time.
The 66 of Gary Kwok has jumped ahead of the 29 of LP Montour as well for third spot in that TCR category. Nick Gallant trying to find his way around the 22 of Jack Polito to avoid him making it 2 in a row in the Sports Car Championship Canada. Trouble with the 34 car of Demi Chalkis and one of the other TCR cars.
Yeah, I believe that is, that's Ron Tomlinson, and there's big damage to the nose of Tomlinson. We did see the white lap. There's a white flag. There is 1 minute to go. And look at some of the other drivers pulling through in the gap between those two cars, but there is all kinds of debris. Tomlinson trying to get out of the way. Caution flag flies. That will likely do it. So no checkered flag shown, but this will likely end under caution as Demi Chalkis, the right front corner, definitely knotted up. And there's Dean Baker who went straight. That's turn number 5. Baker was chasing the 84 of Richard Boak. He went straight in turn number 5. You can see the lockup as he got the car stopped before hitting the tire wall. This is, I believe, turn number 1. Ron Tomlinson in the 48 was trying to get that car moving again. But have another look at what happened to Baker. Another lockup. Oh, Boak had to show a lot of patience to not turn in, and he did. And then Baker came to a rest in that runoff area. Final lap anyway. You might as well stop there and wait until it's safe to rejoin the field. There's no hurry at that point, but for Dean Baker, a good run ends badly on a last lap effort to try and steal second place from Richard Boak.
Looks like that early lockup, the big lockup for the 52 of Dean Baker, came back to bite him later on in the race. Just could not get those tires to roll again smoothly as he made the lunge up the inside at corner number 5 and went right through. As you mentioned, great move by Richard Boak to avoid the contact and hold his turn in a little bit longer and come through unscathed. But it does shake up the running order at the end of this race. It's Jack Polito, Nick Gallant up front as we saw that battle. Justin DiBenedetto, Richard Boak, and Gary Kwok in the 66 running third now in the TCR.
Looks like Demi Chalkis is able to keep running. She's just ahead of the race leader. There it is, the 34, the Mercedes AMG. And there is your overall race leader and the leader in the GT4. So the white flag shown from some of the corner marshals. This will likely end under caution this time underneath the flag stand. They'd already shown the white flag to the group. Safety car sign is out and the checkered flag in the hands of the race starter. So yes, this one will end under a caution period. Jack Polito will win once again in the GT4 class, followed by Nick Gallant. And how about Justin DiBenedetto? A great run for the driver in the number 4. He will take win number 1 for that team in the second race of the weekend in the TCR class. And looking back to the TCA, it will be Trevor Hill who will take the win in the 2, followed by Eric Koontz and Jonathan Young. So in the TCR class, Justin DiBenedetto, Richard Boak, and Gary Kwok will round out the podium. But a big congratulations to young Jack Polito once again.